How do people become modelers? Do you remember how your journey into this hobby began? For example, I first discovered scale modeling when I saw a kit on a store shelf. It was a 1/72nd scale truck from ICM, and I was instantly fascinated. Without thinking twice, I bought it. But the moment I opened the box at home, I had more questions than answers. Where do I start? What tools do I need? How do I even put this together? For those who are just starting out or consciously decided to become a modeler and are looking for a clear step-by-step guide, I've put together this video. 10 essential steps for beginners, plus one bonus tip that will definitely come in handy. In this video, I'll share my personal experience and show you how to build great models right from the start. Enjoy the process and avoid common beginner mistakes. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. It's a small action for you, but it really helps the channel grow. Now, let's get started. The first thing you need to start with is proper lighting. And the better, the better. Trust me, working on a model with poor lighting is not only uncomfortable, but also tiring and even bad for your eyes. My workspace is on a balcony, so during the day, I get enough natural light combined with my main lamp. But in the evening, when needed, I turn on an extra lamp, and that solves the problem. Ideally, your hands in the model should not cast shadows while you work. That's why the best setup is to have light sources on both sides. In my case, placing a second lamp on the other side is not an option. That space is taken up by a phone stand. However, one desk lamp and an extra light are enough for me for now. Sure, you could work without a lamp or just rely on general room lighting. But why? Scale modeling isn't a test of endurance. It's a way to relax and enjoy yourself. So, set up good lighting and let's move on to step 2. The second is the cutting mat. Cutting mats come in different sizes and formats. My first one was A4, and I used it for a long time. Now I have a bigger one, and it's so much more convenient. Why do you need a cutting mat in the first place? First, it protects your table from cuts, glue, and paint. Second, it makes cutting parts easier. Your blade won't dull as fast as it would on wood or cardboard. Plus, the grid markings help you make straight and precise cuts. I'd recommend getting a large mat right away. It's inexpensive, and working on it is much more comfortable. I built my first models without one, just on a piece of cardboard. Technically, you can do that. But why make things harder for yourself? So, pick a mat in the size and color you like, and let's move on to the next step. Third on our list, they are essential for cleanly removing parts from sprues. Pay attention to the blades, they should be flat. If the problems. For example, the cut won't be as clean and will require extra sanding. But even worse, angled blades can put stress on the part and possibly damage it, creating unnecessary trouble. If you don't want to dive into these details, just go for specialized modeling nippers. You can't go wrong with those. Hope that makes sense. Let's move on. You'll also need a hobby knife. It can be used to remove parts from sprues, clean up mold lines, and in general, it's an essential tool for scale modeling. I don't recommend using a regular utility knife. It's uncomfortable and not precise enough for this kind of work. I made that mistake once, thinking it would work for modeling, but I was wrong. Since then, it's just been sitting unused. I also recommend getting spare blades. Even though they're very sharp, they dull pretty quickly. I ordered a pack of 100 blades from China, and that should last me for a while. Now that we've removed the parts from the sprue, it's time to glue them together. I recommend using Tamiya Extra Thin Cement. I'll demonstrate how to use it in the video. One important thing, don't pre-apply glue to both parts. Instead, dry fit them first, then carefully apply glue along the seam. Thanks to its ultra-thin consistency, the glue will flow into the gaps and create a strong bond. However, be careful. While the manufacturer claims it doesn't leave marks, it actually can, especially on clear parts. There's also Revell's glue with a precision nozzle, but I personally didn't like it. Maybe it's just a matter of habit. Alright, now that we've covered glue, let's move on to the next step. The next thing you'll need for assembling your model is putty. Putty is used to fill seams and gaps that don't exist on real vehicles or aircraft. For example, where the roof connects to the windshield frame or other visible joints. Technically, you can build models without it, especially as a beginner. But if you want to do things the right way, putty is a must. I don't recommend experimenting with generic putty from hardware stores. Just get modeling putty, which is available in any hobby shop. Here's how to use it. Apply a thin layer of putty over the seam. Wait until it fully hardens. Sand it down until the surface is perfectly smooth. Next step. Before you start painting, you need to protect the model's windows from paint. This is done using masking tape. There are two ways to do this. Pre-cut masks to fit the windows before gluing them in place. Apply masking tape over the glued windows and carefully cut it to shape. In some lucky cases, pre-cut masks come with the kit, like on this truck you see on the screen. But most of the time, you won't be able to do without modeling tape, especially when working on aircraft and cars. The next step is extremely important: priming. Without primer, paint won't adhere well to plastic and might peel off even with the slightest touch. Primer also smooths out imperfections and helps hide assembly flaws. There are airbrush primers, but we assume that as a beginner you don't have an airbrush or a compressor yet. So what's the solution? Spray can primers. I strongly recommend not experimenting with automotive or construction primers. I've tested them myself and they simply don't work as they should. You might ruin your entire model. Use modeling primers made specifically for scale models. Yes, they can be pricey, but without them, there's almost no chance of achieving a good result. So, make sure to include primer in your budget. It's a must-have. Now we've reached one of the most important steps: painting. Which paint should you choose for your model? Most kits come with a paint list in the instructions, but sometimes the list is too long and can be expensive. If you're unsure or don't want to spend too much at first, I recommend starting with basic colors: black, green, gray, aluminum for headlights, clear red for taillights. With this small set, you can paint 90% of models. Of course, if you're building an aircraft, you'll need more specific colors. But for military ground vehicles, this list is a perfect starting point. These paints are water-based, odorless, and can be thinned with plain water. As you gain experience, you'll expand your collection. Brushes and spray paints. You'll also need brushes. I recommend getting a set with different sizes, from very fine to larger ones. For better results, you can use spray paints. For example, Tamiya Basic Green or Gray for military vehicles. They aren't cheap, but they give a much smoother finish compared to brush painting. And remember, painting is the most important part of model building. One careless move can ruin everything, so take your time and do your best. To complete the final look of your first model, I recommend getting a couple of jars of dry pigment. You don't need much. 1 to 2 colors will be enough for the first time. A small amount of pigments will make your model look more realistic. But be careful not to overdo it. Don't dump half a jar onto your model. A light dusting or subtle dirt effects will enhance the details and make your model look even better. This was the 10th and final step in building your first model. We've covered all the basic tools and materials you need to create a great-looking build that you won't be ashamed to share on forums and online. But your work on the model isn't over yet. There's one more important step: a photo shoot. This will be bonus tip 11. Treat photographing your model as seriously as building it. A great photo can make even an average model look impressive. In the video, you can see my homemade light box. It's easy to make using simple materials. That's why I highly recommend either building one yourself or buying a ready-made light box. It's a great investment for capturing stunning shots of your models. These were 11 beginner tips for building your first model, a quick introduction to scale modeling. All of these tips are based on my own experience, and I hope they were helpful and will allow you to enjoy the hobby from the very beginning. That's it for today. If you found this video useful, leave a like, and if you have anything to add, drop a comment below. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.